So WOW was based on, the words are based on a whole lot of interviews that we did with people about their experiences of mental illness. And it was amazing how easy it was to actually fit into segments that worked for one person to go, like a journey for one person to go through. Like it made you realise how, I suppose, universal a lot of what's talked about is, even though sometimes it's real specific. But it's like that can fit into one person's experience quite, we accept that as an audience.
And it's weird. It's
weird. It's a weird show.
I think it's strange but emotionally true.
So we played around a lot with reading quite long extracts from the interviews, and kind of it became clear what we were good at doing as performers. And then I was like more open to be emotionally vulnerable on stage, so I got quite heavy content. Annabella's really funny. Amy's very performative. And it brings humour in a different way. Not a bad way.
very physical.
Yeah, very physical.
Yeah.
I discovered pretty quickly that I shouldn't do 2 interviews in a row because that was very draining, taking on that. But I found naturally I wanted to share my own story with the people I was interviewing. But when I went on, I stopped doing that as much because I was like, oh, maybe I'm just doing this for me rather than them. Often it could look like it was going to be like a 5-minute interview, and it could end up being like half an hour because they're like, someone's letting me talk about this. I'm allowed to discuss this, which was great to have. And so we did like well over 30 interviews probably. And then like, I think I was doing maybe my 12th transcription, and I was like, we can't possibly use all of this. But I think transcription probably was the hardest thing because you're so in the head, because like you have their speech patterns and you know when they'll pause and what they'll think is funny, and just because it takes, I don't know, like an hour to do 3 minutes. So it was, I probably wouldn't do it again. But I was like, I'm glad I did it.
Like, I interviewed you, Gambo, for it. And that was really cool.
I liked our interview. I think it was healing for me. So found it a little hard hearing it over and over.
Has it changed your relationship to hearing that? Still?
Yes, it does, because I feel like I personally have moved so far beyond that headspace that like hearing me talk about it feels historical. I don't know what it's like for other people in the show hearing their stories, but for me it just feels like another person speaking. Everyone jokes about like going and reading like bad poetry they wrote when they were sad, or their old diary entries and stuff, and you're like, ugh, gross. But like hearing my words in the show, I'm not discounting myself. Like I'm like, it's like I hear you, 21 or 22-year-old Annabella. Like it's quite nice to have that space where I was crystallized a little bit.
And be able to have compassion for yourself and compassion for other people, I think, is a beautiful thing that this show hopefully can do. Because I interviewed my dad for it when he was in a really dark space, and a year later he's like a completely different person, and he's a different person to what he's been pretty much as long as I can remember, and it's amazing because look how different this person is now, look how different life is for them, and look what can happen, like what a beautiful little injection of hope.